This episode contains discussions about graphic violence, vigilantism, trauma, and moral dilemmas. Listener discretion is advised. Gotham, New York, two cities plagued by crime, where justice is often another word for vengeance. In the darkest corners of these cities, two men wage war, not with ideals, but with bullets, brutality, and an unyielding will to destroy those who prey on the innocent. One is the Grim Knight, an alternate Batman who abandoned restraint and embraced total war. The other is Frank Castle, the one-man army known as the Punisher. When two of the deadliest vigilantes in comic book history collide, only one walks away. Tonight, we break down the strengths, weapons, and tactics of these two executioners. Who has the deadlier arsenal? Who has the superior strategy? And in the end, who truly defines justice? Every vigilante has an origin, a moment that transforms him from a man into a force of vengeance. But the Grim Knight and the Punisher didn't just cross the line, they erased it. The Grim Knight was born from a single choice. What if Bruce Wayne picked up the gun that killed his parents? In his world, young Bruce executed Joe Chill on the spot. That one pull of the trigger led him down a path where he abandoned Batman's morality and embraced lethal force. Trained by the best assassins, mercenaries, and warlords, he became a version of Batman unshackled by restraint. He didn't just fight crime, he eradicated it. He weaponized Gotham, turning it into a city under permanent surveillance, where criminals had no place to hide. To the Grim Knight, justice isn't about hope, it's about total control. Frank Castle, on the other hand, was a soldier before he became a war. A decorated Marine, Castle returned home only to see his family gunned down in a mob hit. The system failed him. The law let the killers walk, and that's when the Punisher was born. Unlike other vigilantes, Frank never pretended to be a hero. He doesn't seek redemption, only retribution. If you're in his crosshairs, you don't get a second chance. To the Punisher, justice isn't blind. It's the barrel of a gun aimed at the guilty. And the advantage here goes to the Grim Knight. Both men are relentless, but the Grim Knight has resources that Frank can only dream of. His version of Gotham was locked down like a military state, and his ability to manipulate technology and surveillance gives him the upper hand in preparation. When it comes to hand-to-hand combat, both of these men are highly skilled, but they fight in very different ways. The Grim Knight was trained by the League of Shadows, mercenaries, and some of the most brutal combat masters on Earth. He fights with precision, leveraging multiple martial arts styles. Unlike Bruce Wayne, he doesn't hesitate. Every move is calculated for maximum lethality. He blends stealth, misdirection, and pure aggression, preferring to take enemies down before they even know he's there. The Punisher fights with raw brutality. As a Marine, he was trained in military hand-to-hand combat, Krav Maga, and close-quarter battle techniques. Frank is a brawler, capable of using anything in his environment as a weapon. He can take extreme punishment and keep going, using sheer willpower to push through injuries that would drop other men. The Punisher doesn't fight with finesse. He fights to end you, and that advantage goes to the Punisher. The Grim Knight is a better technician, but Frank Castle has the endurance and adaptability that make him an unstoppable force. In a straight-up fight, Frank's willingness to take damage and keep moving forward makes him more dangerous in a prolonged combat. Both of these men are walking armories, but their approaches to firepower couldn't be any more different. The Grim Knight has an arsenal that would make any government jealous. He has access to high-tech bat gadgets, military-grade firearms, drones, and explosives. His bat suit is modified with ballistic protection, and he carries custom-built weapons designed for silent and efficient takedowns. He fights with surgical precision, using advanced tracking and stealth technology to eliminate targets before they see him coming. The Punisher, on the other hand, is a walking war zone. He carries everything from handguns to rocket launchers, preferring brute force over subtlety. His weapon of choice is the M4 carbine, but he's also been known to use grenade launchers, sniper rifles, and whatever heavy artillery he can get his hands on. Unlike the Grim Knight, Frank doesn't care about cleanup. If he has to blow up an entire building to take down his target, so be it. While the Grim Knight is tactical, the Punisher is pure overwhelming force. And that advantage goes to the Grim Knight. Frank Castle carries more raw firepower, but the Grim Knight's ability to weaponize his entire environment gives him a massive edge. From drones to thermal imaging, he controls the battlefield before the first shot is fired. Both of these men are master strategists, but their methods differ in execution. The Grim Knight is a planner. He believes in controlling every possible outcome, setting traps, and monitoring every inch of his territory. He sees crime like a chessboard, moving pieces until his enemies are exactly where he wants them. If you're in his sights, he's already 3 steps ahead. The Punisher is a tactician, but he thrives in chaos. Frank adapts in real time, using his military experience to react to shifting threats on the fly. He doesn't need the perfect setup. He is the perfect setup. He fights like he has nothing to lose because, in his mind, he doesn't. And that advantage goes to the Grim Knight. Both men are brilliant strategists, but the Grim Knight's ability to predict and manipulate his enemies gives him the edge in a prolonged war. So what happens when the Grim Knight and the Punisher go to war? In a neutral battleground, Frank would push forward relentlessly, while the Grim Knight would pick him apart from the shadows. The battle would be a game of survival, brutal, unrelenting, and leaving neither man unscathed. But the Grim Knight has one final edge: preparation. Frank Castle is a force of nature, but the Grim Knight's ability to control the battlefield means that in the end, the bat prevails. So your winner here is the Grim Knight. 2 men, 2 warriors, 2 different philosophies of justice. The Grim Knight proves that power, when wielded with precision, is nearly unstoppable. But there is one thing that we know about the Punisher. It's that he never truly stays down. Thank you for joining us on Revenge and Madness. Who should we break down next? Let us know, and remember, justice isn't always blind. Sometimes it's armed to the teeth.